A very good evening to one and all. I'm Riddhi, Assistant Professor at the Department of Communicative English, Asutosh College. On behalf of my department and the Internal Quality Assurance Cell at Asutosh College, I heartily welcome you all to Communication Humor, our series of national webinars celebrating the power of language and communication. I'm delighted to welcome you to the seventh and final webinar of our series today, titled Training and Development, the What, Why, in How. With the increasing demand for communication and soft skills training in the corporate sector, training and development has definitely emerged as a lucrative career option for our learners. Our today's speaker, Sriparna Banerjee, a corporate trainer with years of experience in formulating end-to-end learning strategies, is here to talk to you about the arena of training and development and to answer your fundamental queries of what, why, and how related to the field. Before we proceed, I request the organizing secretary Shuruma to please introduce the speaker in a few words. Over to you, Shuruma.
Thank you, Riddhi. Good evening, everyone. I am Shuroma, Assistant Professor at the Department of Communicative English, Asutosh College. Today, we are privileged to have with us Sriparna Banerjee, Senior Lead at Novartis. An MPhil in Linguistics and Phonetics from the English and Foreign Languages University, Lucknow campus, Sriparna Banerjee began her career as a foreign language instructor at GD Goenka, Lucknow, where she was instrumental in designing the curriculum and assessment. She moved on to work as a training consultant with CFBTES, where she prepared and reviewed training content and delivered in-house training programs. She worked with Wishworks as training and development consultant, senior executive human resources, and assistant manager talent. As a learning consultant, she was responsible for upskilling employees by using talent development and learning analytics, working closely with the HR team to better learning patterns and objectives, creating learning strategies and learning plans for associates, boosting leadership development, coordinating training events, optimizing performance, assessing learning gaps, delivering in-house training programs in communication skills, communication strategies, leadership skills, and on-site communication, maintaining and developing the learning management system of the organization, and tracking and following up on trainings and certification. In her present role as senior lead at Novartis, she is responsible for formulating end-to-end learning strategies for her associates. On behalf of our department, I would like to thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us here today. And we are really excited to listen to you. Over to you, ma'am.
So thank you, Riddhi, and thank you, Shuruma, for the wonderful introduction. I would like to first thank the Asutosh College, the Department of Communicative English, for bringing up for this wonderful and this brilliantly thought webinars for the students who are looking up different avenues to take up their careers. And I'm sure that this is going to be a great platform for them to know what they're good at and to go ahead and take up a career they would envisage for. I would also thank the Asutosh College for inviting me to speak in this seminar. I am extremely privileged to be in this platform today, and I hope that I'll be doing justice to what we are here to achieve today. So welcome all of you to the seminar. I'm quickly going to present my desktop here. 1 second. Okay, let's get started. Let me start with a disclaimer. Whatever I'm going to speak today to you, whatever I'm going to tell you is based on my personal experiences of my years and years of experience in learning and development. And all the resources that I have gathered today for all of you is based on the publicly available resources. To start with, you all know the topic, right? It's training and development. The what, the why, and the how. Now, my intention in today's session is threefold. Number one is I'm going to introduce to the world of employee training and development. What is it like? What do we do in training and development? How do things work in training and development? Number two, I'll give you a sneak peek of how training works in a particular business or in a particular corporate industry. So training and development, yeah, we all know what's training and development. We all know what it consists of. But do we know how the process of training and development happens? Do we know how we start and how we end? What are the different aspects that we can look at? Well, we're going to look at the different aspects of training and development here today. And number three, I'm going to tell you how you can take up training and development as a career going forward. What are the different areas that you can look into in training and development? What are the things that you can consider before you choose your career? So keeping these things in mind, I have come up with my presentation today. So I have divided my presentation into three different categories. I'm going to start with the what. So when I say what, I'm going to give you an idea what is training and development. Why do we have a shift from a training to a learning perspective? So if you go to different industries and if you look at different departments in an organization, you will see it's no more called training and development. Nowadays we call it learning and development. And I'll tell you why and how had been the shift from training to a learning sphere. I'm going to talk to you about the different areas of training, different skills that we look at in training. And I'm going to give you a a vast overview of what are the personal development trainings, or it's also known as soft skills, that we take up in the industry. So soft skills is just one of the it's just an umbrella term for this huge encompassing list of trainings that we have. And I'm going to show you what are the different skills that we address through our soft skills, or which I would like to call personal development training. And then I'm going to talk to you about the training cycle. How do training happen? What is the first step that we do? What do we do after that? Where do we go? And how does it end? So I'm going to give you the entire overview of the training cycle that happens in an organization. Next, I'm going to speak to you about the why. Well, it's obvious, right? You need to know why things happen, because why it happens. And you need to know the importance of L&D in an entire industry, how significant it is for an industry to have an L&D department, and how does L&D contribute to the success of the business. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about the how. What you are going to do, what are the areas that you can look at when you're thinking of training and development, how you're going to approach that, how you're going to take it up. And I'm going to also give you certain keywords throughout my presentation, which you can go back and Google and get to learn more. Now, having said that, I am going to use a lot of keywords throughout my presentation. So people who are interested in training and development, in taking up a career and understanding the different ways you can go into training and development, please make note of the keywords that I'm going to speak of during my presentation, because that will come handy later on. Great. I hope we are all in sync on what we're going to do. Let's start. Let me start with the quote, and it's a very favorite quote of mine. It's by Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I will remember. Involve me and I learn. And that is exactly what training and development does. We bringing strategies, we bringing learning solutions or learning strategies to help our employees learn. And believe me, until and unless you involve a particular employee into the aspect of learning, the person would not learn, the person would not develop going forward. This is a mantra that I always take into mind when I think of training and development, and I hope I'll be able to convey the similar message to you today as well. Let's move forward. Let's look at the what of training and development. Now, yes, we have heard of training and development. Okay, so when I had started my career, My idea of training and development was, okay, so I'll have to go to a session, classroom session, and I have to speak for a certain time. I have to provide them training. I have to teach them how to write a particular email or maybe how to speak, and that's it. Well, I was absolutely wrong when I started my career. Training and development is not only about training a particular person, but it's way more. Now, to understand training and development, let us look at training separately and development separately. And then we will look at it in a combination, and then we will understand what training and development means. All right, let's see what's employee training. Now, what's employee training? Well, I'll tell you with an example. Okay, when an employee joins a company, that person is supposed to go through a certain set of trainings. Okay, certain set of technical skills training, some Excel skills that he has to know, some PowerPoint skills that he has to know in order to do his job or task. He might also have to go through certain trainings on certain policies of the company, certain processes that the company has, some HR processes, on some other administrative processes, how to apply leaves in the system, how to check your payroll in a system. These are the different trainings that the employee has to go through when he or she begins their career. So what do is we provide them certain trainings, we show them how to do it, the person learns, and that helps the person to do his job better. So training has a concrete goal, that this is what I'm going to teach to my employee so that the person can do the things better. And training is very much subject to the technical and the functional skills. Training is all about doing. Okay, training is something that's done to a person. And now let's look at what is development. When we look at development, development is not a very, very short-term goal, right? Development is a long-term goal. The moment you were born, okay, your skills when you were in class 10 had been different. Now that you are pursuing a career, or you are in your respective education anchors, your set of skills have grown, right? You have done something more. So this is called development. How do an employee develop through their life cycle? So while training is all about doing a certain task, employee development is all about being, how the employee is moving from one skill set to another. As a person moves from an associate position, say for example, the person moves to a team lead position, he or she has to have a certain set of skills. Then once he moves to a managerial position, that person again needs to have a certain set of skills. So employee development looks into the overall development of the employee. Okay, not only the technical and functional skills, but also to the softer skills of it, also to the behavioral skills, and which I would use most of the time as are the personal development skills. So employee training and development, when we look at it as a whole, are training plus the other skills, the behavioral skills and functional skills, and the overall development that we look at. The reason why I'm trying to make you understand the entire concept, because this is how we do it in the corporate scenario. We just do not look at the training of a particular person, but we look at what we can bring in the table to bring that employee from what he is to build his future skills going forward. That's the idea of training and development. Now, I was telling you, right, that we have moved from a shift of a training to a more of a learning sphere. Now, I'll tell you why. See, training, as you might have known by now, the training is very, very specific, but learning is overall. What is learning? Training is a part of learning, right? So we use training as one of the aspects to make the person learn. There are many other aspects of learning. As you can see on the screen, you have tutorials. Yes, we are always on the YouTube. We are always on different kinds of tutorials when we have to learn something, right? I want to cook Ilish March today. So how do I do it? I go and search my YouTube. I see a tutorial. I learn it, and then I apply it. So that's a tutorial. So it's all about self-paced learning these days. We all have access to internet, access to different aspects, and that's how we learn. It's about the potential of a person. It's about creativity, how a person does what he does, but in a different way. It's about motivation. If you're not motivated enough to learn, you will never learn. But if you are motivated enough, you can learn from each and every experience that you go through. It's about the success that you get. It's about the communication, how well you communicate with a particular person. It's about the knowledge that you gather altogether. So if you see in this industry, we have moved from a training to a learning and development model. Every company nowadays have a learning and development department in their setup, because it is the overall learning of a particular employee that we look at. Let's move on to the next segment, the different areas of training. Now, skills, when we look at skills, I've already talked to you about the technical, functional, and personal development skills. These are the three categories that we come up with in a training sphere. Okay, we technical skills are very common, right? If you are looking for a Java developer, or if you are learning a particular skill like a big data, Hadoop, or some technology like C++, whatever. There are so many technical technologies, right? So those are the technical skills. You have a technical skills where you have to develop in a sphere. Then you have the functional skills, a particular process that is used in a particular organization to develop or to learn a certain thing, right? Those are the functional skills. What I'm interested today to speak about are the personal development skills, or I would say soft skills. Now, and I will tell you an example that when I had started my career, according to me, soft skills was communication skills. It's about how you talk, how you write, and how you communicate with each other. How fluent are you in when you speak? Well, again, I was wrong. Personal development skills is not only a communication skills, and believe me, communication skills has a lot of other things in purview. It's a lot more than communication skills. Let me give you a sneak peek of what do we consist of when we talk about personal development of soft skills. Let's start with our very favorite communication skills. We have heard people saying that, oh, I don't like him because he doesn't have a great communication skill. Okay, I want to develop my communication skills. There are many people who come and ask me, Sriparna, I want to develop my communication skills. But what in communication? Communication is huge. Communication is not just the way you talk. Communication is the way you sit, the way you look at people, the way your hand movements are, the way you listen to a person, the way you present a certain aspect to a person. It's about your public speaking skills, how you manage your emotions, how you manage your audience. Everything is communication skills. So communication skills in as an umbrella term, it has its own sub-terms like verbal communication, non-verbal communication, right? So, and I always say, listening is the unsung hero of communication. The main aspect of communication is how you listen to somebody and how you listen and respond to a particular person. Communication skills is more of a one-way street, right? How you communicate with a certain person. Of course, it involves exchange of ideas, but it's very much of a one-way street. But when we look at our interpersonal skills are always two-way. Okay, how do you resolve a certain conflict? How do you brand yourself to others, right? What is the aroma that you are spreading across? Okay, what is that you're putting up, right? So this is what is personal branding. How are you networking with others? How are you interacting with others? These are all these all skills come under the interpersonal skills. The next skill that we should be taking care of are the influencing skills. The influencing skills are very, very important in an organization, which is a matrix organization. Now, what's a matrix organization? Matrix organization is where you have got multiple departments. You have got multiple, reporting structure. You report to many people. You have got many stakeholders, many people whom you interact with. So this is a matrix organization. And when it's so many people, imagine, right? There are so many people, and how do you influence them? That is what L&D. That is where L&D comes in. It teaches you how to present something. It teaches you how to persuade, how to negotiate with a particular person, how to use storytelling to inspire people. And please note the first point: facilitation. What is facilitation? Facilitation is something that I do. I'm a facilitator in the company. That is, I try to bring out the experiences of different people, their knowledge. I try to connect with theories, and at the end of the day, I make them learn. So these days, trainers are called facilitators because we are not training them. We are not doing the thing what they should be doing, but we are helping them to do things. And that's why the term that we can look up for you is facilitating or facilitation. The next skills that we look at, and I think these kind of skills are not only subject to only corporate. This is applicable to every human being, right? As a human being, you need to have these skills, this personal skills I'm talking about. Emotional intelligence. How are you self-aware of your emotions? How do you regulate your emotions in a particular environment? How are you socially aware what's going on, and how do you talk to that person? Okay, empathy, showing empathy towards a particular person when the person is speaking. How assertive you are. How do you say no without even hurting the other person, and at the same time conveying what you want to say? Okay, how do you manage your stress? These are all the personal skill development, and these are very important. These are important for an employee to learn, to develop that in him, so that it can help him going forward in his career. So these are one set of skills that we look at. The other set of skills that we look at are the professional skills. Now, these are very, very, what do you say, very, very industry specific skills, right? Time management, okay? You have so much of work to do, and especially thanks to the work from home scenario these days, work has piled up, okay? It's unending. And how do you manage? How you prioritize your work? How do you look at process improvement? Same thing that you do, but in a better way. What are the business etiquettes that we look at? How do you what do you wear in a meeting? How do you groom yourself? What is the image that you should have when you are coming into a meeting? And finally, again, focus on the last word: train the trainer. Okay, train the trainer is a certification. People who are interested here to become a trainer or a facilitator, this is something that you will have to go through in your career. Okay, a train the trainer certification. What's a train the trainer certification? Well, to become a trainer, you have to first train yourself on the particular topic or a particular facilitation skills, and then you are eligible to go and train others. So you're going to come across train the trainer a lot in your entire career if you have taken up, or if you wish to take up, training or facilitation as a career. And finally, we look at creativity. Creativity, it's about going beyond of what you are doing now. Like public speaking, there's creativity called innovation, doing the same thing but in a better way. There's critical thinking. There are so many. So if you have seen, and please be informed that this is not an entire list of skills that I'm giving you. I have just chosen the most important ones which I feel is right, and I have given you the information. So if you look at it, the idea what I'm trying to say is that personal development training or soft skills are a huge arena. Communication skills is just a part of it. So there are lot of aspects that an learning and development or a training and development professional looks at when they are looking at a personal development training. All right. This is a very important thing which I thought that will be useful for you, because yes, we know what is training and development, but how are things done in a particular organization? Well, this is for you, the training cycle. This is the cycle that we follow in a training and development scenario in different organizations. The first thing what we do is we start with the training need identification. Say, for example, there is an organization, a consulting organization, and for them, their job is to sell a product to a particular organization or provide solutions to their clients. So if that is the case, given the nature of the business, we first, as L&D professionals, we have to first identify what is the need of the business. Say, for example, for them, they need their employees to go to a particular client and sell their product. So obviously, selling skills come into picture. Now, we list down what are the skills that they would need. And then we do a training need analysis. That is, where are the employees right now and what are their desired states? So we find a gap between what are they here now and what are they looking for. Then we go and set the training objectives. Now, when we come to the aspect of setting training objectives and designing, this is where you have multiple career opportunities. Okay, while I was talking now, let me tell you what it is here. Let's look at setting training objectives and designing. These days, okay, like traditionally, what happened was traditionally when we did the need analysis, we did the need improvement and all, we went on to setting training objectives, and then we designed the curriculum of a training. How did we design traditionally? Well, we had a team where people used to go through, look up for some theories that would be relevant here. They brought in the theories. They created PPTs, created training notes, documents for the trainer to go through. The trainer took it, went on to the classroom, and he or she used to deliver the training. But in our current scenario, where we have moved from a classroom setting to a very, very, what do you say, a virtual setting, right? Nowadays, number one is we are all dealing with millennials. Millennials are you all. Millennials are someone who would not be willing to sit in a classroom and listen to a lecture for 4 hours. Will you? I don't think so, right? So we have moved on from a lecture setting to a more of a self-paced learning setting, okay, where learning has to be very, 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 very spontaneous, very, very micro learning. You need to know how things are on the go, and you need to apply them right away. That is how employees are these days. People who have just moved into their employee, in their setting of employee or their careers, right? They are all quick learners. They want to learn quick. That's why our learning modules have moved from a classroom training to a more of a self-paced learning modules. Now, by self-paced learning modules, we have many, many e-learning module solutions these days. And another aspect that you should look at are the instructional design. So people who are interested in designing a curriculum, people who are interested in working with different tools in content development, people who are interested to do the background work of training, this is where you should be looking at. Certain keywords that you need to remember are instructional design. Instructional design is basically to provide the instructions of the training, creating the plan of the training. Second thing is creating content. Content development is basically using different softwares, different tools, and creating the content, many, many interactive contents. I use a software called Articulate Storyline to create my content. I use softwares like Camtasia, Captivate to create my content. Taking the same theories, putting into a content, interactivity, and that's how we create, and then people go through it on their own time. A very famous concept that has come into these days are the blended learning. Now, what's a blended learning? Blend means mixture of things, right? So blended learning is where you have both the self-paced learning, you go through your own module, and then you come to the classroom session and have a 1 hour of discussion, a debate between all of us. So that is how the learning approaches have evolved during time. Okay, we are not only the classroom-based training anymore. We have moved into a lot more updated form of learning where people are using different other technologies to impart learning to their employees. So certain keywords that you should look for are instructional design, content development, blended learning, and self-paced training or interactivity. And then we move on to the implementation part. What is implementation? Well, this is where I had started my career with. I was a facilitator. I was the one who was responsible for implementing my training. When I go into the classroom and have a people of 10, 15 people in front of me, I try to bring them onto the same page, make them understand what I'm talking about, okay, training them, making them learn different aspects. So implementation is very much is related to your facilitation or your training skills, how you train a particular person. These days, with the e-learning modules coming in, implementation is also about strategizing how are you going to create your trainings and when are you going to say you want to look at a training for an entire week, or do you want to look at a phased training? Say I would need an employee's time for 2 hours 1 week, second week I again need him for 2 hours, and that's how you want to approach. So the training approach or the implementation of training also matters a lot. And finally, well, we are providing training and development, but what is the use if we don't know what is being the impact of training and development? So we come at the last stage called the evaluation. Evaluation is something that we do to understand what has been the effect of the training, how well the employee is performing from what he was performing before, and at the end, how the company is improving or gaining through all these learning and development interventions. So this was all about the training and development cycle that we follow in different organizations. And this is very, very common across all sectors, right? If you look at IT sector, pharma sector, if you look at the manufacturing sector or the financial sector, every company, the approach of training is the same. It's just that the skills that will they look at would be different. Okay, a consulting organization and the IT organization would look at a different set of skills, whereas coming to pharma or financial, where there is less of a client engagement, they would need more of creativity, more of problem solving skills rather than a lot of selling skills, okay, rather than a lot of consulting skills. So that is the idea. That is how we fit in different skills into this training and development scenario. So this was all about the what of training. I can understand it might seem very overwhelming now, but as you go through, as you take up the keywords that I have talked to you about, and you go and you Google it and you see what it is, you will get a fair idea of what is training and development in the sphere of today. So let's move on to the next segment, which is the why of training and development. Well, I have a dialogue for you. Let's look at it. So one of the CFO, a chief finance officer, was asking to his CEO, what happens if we train our employees and then they leave? And he was very concerned about it. To which the CEO of the company said, what happens if we don't and then they stay? Having a trained employee is an asset to an organization. I'll tell you how. What learning and development does is it addresses the gaps. First of all, it knows what are the desired skills for a business to achieve its success, and it knows where the people are today. So obviously, it knows where are the gaps, and it directly hits the bull's eye through their learning and development initiative. Then, because the person has been trained, obviously the person will have an enhanced performance. The person will go and prepare better or perform well in their job. After they perform well in their job, what happens? Because of that, it increases the employee's productivity. The employee will be happy that, hey, I'm being able to do it much better. And then that will lead to a satisfaction among the employee. He will be more engaged in the company as well as with his work. He will be, that will lead to employee retention of the company. And finally, it will lead to the productivity of the organization. So if you ask me where L&D fits in an HRM setup, well, the moment the person is recruited and he is onboarded to a particular organization, L&D's work starts. L&D's work starts by first training the employee to a certain specific skills, and then until the person leaves the organization, he has to have that interval, or or what do you say? He has to have that introduction with L&D until and unless the person leaves the organization. And that is how, in whole, L&D has a business impact in the organization. The next part, which I'm going to focus on, is the how of it. Well, this is a very, very interesting part, right? Many of us, we ask, how are we going to do it? How are we going to take up a career in training and development? What are the different things that I can do to take up a career in training and development? Well, let me show you the different things that you can focus at when you're talking about learning and development or training and development. The first aspect that we should be focusing on is on the training and facilitation. If you are willing to take up a career in training and become a facilitator, become a person who, you like talking to people, you like going and talking in public speaking, you want to take up a career into training, you can always start your career, especially people with a communication background here, can start your career as a communication trainer or a business communication trainer. You can also look at careers such as English language trainer. That is exactly how I had started my career. I had done my master's, I've done my research, and then I started with by being an English language trainer. Of course, my designation had something else, but the job that I had to do was English language training on how to create, how to speak, how to talk, how to write a proper emails, how to interact with people. That's what I used to focus on. And gradually, as I have grown up on my career, have come forward with it, I have moved into a different sphere of learning and development. So that's how you can start your career. You can also look at roles such as learning and development executive, learning specialist, voice coaches, and voice and accent trainers. So voice coaches and voice and accent trainers are very, very specific to the BPO industry, okay, where people have to make very, calls to clients all the time, and they have to speak with people who are overseas, who are not necessarily based out of India. And that is where the voice and accent trainers a job comes in. The person will tell you how to talk to the particular person, how using phonetics you can develop a person's pronunciation, how to deal with it, what are different pronunciation that a person has to have. These are the aspects that a voice and accent trainer would look into. Next, we move on to a learning and administration sphere. So this is one of the other ways of getting into learning and development. If you are not necessarily looking for facilitation, but you are interested with the field of L&D, what you can do is you can start as a training coordinator or a learning coordinator, or you can start as an executive or a specialist. So these people are required to plan the sessions. Say, for example, if it had been a classroom session, you would be coordinating the entire learning program with the speaker, with the facilitator, with the participants, understand where it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. So a training coordinator's job is very key at the same time, because the person has to overall look at the entire coordination of the training learning program that we are going to do. So you can start your career that way as well. The third aspect that you can look into, and this is especially for people who like designing, okay, who like creating, different learning programs, say, for example, curriculum development, how to develop certain training programs. This is where you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on an instructional designing job or an e-learning content developing job, because that is where that will give you a very good scope of, you know, a good scope of creating or using your creative side and coming up with very different solutions to a particular learning. So for example, if you ask me, I had started my career as a facilitator, but now I am also looking up into designing. I also look at strategies, that is creating a training plan and how are we going to implement the training plan. So you can always shift from one aspect to the other. You can start as a trainer, move into content development, be a trainer at the same time, also a content developer, or you can also start as a content developer, then move into training. You can do that by shifting from one aspect to the other. Now, a very interesting aspect that I have seen among my colleagues are there are many people who are now L&D professionals, but who do not have a communication background, who might have a BTech background, or who might have a different technical background. It is also possible. There are many people who have done the BTech, who have done jobs in technical sectors, but now they have moved into the L&D sphere because they are passionate about it. That's also possible. How do they do that? Well, in a bigger organization, you can always aspire for a different career, and you can take sabbaticals and you can move into internally in the company itself. If you do not have that option, you can always go for certifications. If you look at the certifications tab, I have notified only one certification that is nationally recognized across all India, which is the ISTB. They provide diploma certifications, and you can look at their certifications. It's very, very robust, and they are correspondence courses as well, and they are very, very well recognized across all. There are many other private institutions as well who provide certifications on train the trainer and other certifications. I have not intentionally taken out their names because I didn't want to classify them. But yes, if you wish, you can look up for Dale Carnegie certifications. You can look up for Middle Earth. You can look up for SHRM certifications or DDI trainers. So these are typical, very famous training organizations that has an importance in the industry. Apart from which, since we are talking about self-learning modules, we have a lots and list of e-learning modules that you can look for. We have such wonderful resources in Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, and Future Learn, which can give you a host of different courses to go for. And you can choose if you wish to become a facilitator, there are specific courses on facilitation skills. If you wish to become an instructional designer, there are courses in LinkedIn, there are courses in Coursera on instructional designing, what it is, how it is, what is the approach that you should take. And there are different e-learning certificates as well that you can go through. So since these days we are looking mostly on online certifications, these online platforms will help you a lot in gaining your knowledge, and the certifications are also taken into consideration in the industry. Well, I would like to end by telling you to look up these particular terms when you go back home today. Instructional designing, well, instructional designing is how you design a particular course. Look for micro learnings, because micro learning is the learning of the day. Okay, people are looking for micro learnings, how to learn on the go and not go for lengthy learning solutions. And then there's simulation. Simulations are game-based learning, so gamification. That's very interesting. And then there's learning management. Is a portal that you know that administers the entire learning program of the particular company, and you can be a learning management instructor or an administrator as well. This is what all I had to speak to you today and let you know about training and development. I hope that it was informative, and I hope that you have learned something out of it. I'm now open for any questions and answers from all of you. And I would like to end by wishing you all the best for your career in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure this has been an amazing learning experience for all of us. So we have some questions from our participants. So it would be great if you could answer some of them.
Sure, Sunima.
Yes. The first question which we have is, can learning phonetics be a plus point to pursue a career in this field?
Absolutely. And I can tell you, can I get the name of the person who has asked the question, Roma?
I'll ask our student volunteers to find the name. They are collecting the questions. Yes.
Absolutely, no problem. Yes, to answer your question, I think it's an absolute advantage if you know phonetics, because being a student of phonetics myself, I have found the charm of knowing phonetics while I'm doing facilitation, especially if you're looking at English language training. That is where you can bring in your concepts of phonetics into your teachings. Okay, something that people might not know, and something that people are willing to learn. I think when you're looking at English language training and voice and accent training, these are the places where you can bring in phonetics into your learning. Absolutely.
Yes, we got the name Anvisha Shorkar. She asked this question.
Great. Thank you, Shiruma. Anisha, all the best. Please use your phonetics understanding if you are taking up an English language training module.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is, what is the most required quality a student should have to be successful in a career like corporate training?
Right. So I'm going to give you the answer based on my understanding. Okay. So I have understood the question as is, if you are taking up a job as a corporate trainer, what are the typical skills that you would need to develop in yourself? Well, if you want to become a trainer or a facilitator, the first thing that you would need is good speaking skills. Okay, because people look up to you as an English language trainer, right? So you need to know. I wouldn't say a lot perfect grammar, because when you speak, it's more of the tone that you bring in. It's more of the way you speak more than what you speak. Okay, more than vocabulary, what matters is how you speak. So you need to practice your delivery skills. You need to practice your volume, your pitch, the pause that you speak, or the pause with which you speak, or the pace that you with which you speak. That is more important than your grammatical skills. Of course, I'm not telling that grammar is not important. It's equally important, but I would say focus more on your delivery skills rather than your content.
Thank you. The next question is, how important is it to stick to British pronunciation in India?
Okay. Personally, I love British pronunciation. I would love if I have to interact with somebody British, and luckily, even my first job, I had British clients all across me, so I was lucky enough. But then it depends on different companies. If a company has a British client, for example, and the employees have to talk to a British client, that's when you need British skills. But what if a company has clients in Dubai? What if the company has clients in Singapore or China or Japan? The communication strategy becomes altogether different when you have a Chinese client than when you have a British client. So depending on the client base, on where the companies are, this is what you need to take up the strategy.
Thank you. The next question is, what are the most challenging facts? So, what are what are the most challenging facts in this training field a trainer has to face?
Very interesting questions. And this is something that always used to eat me in my initial days of training. One challenging fact is that because people are so busy with their work, right? At times, what happens, uh, they're not able to focus a lot on training. Okay, because obviously they have so many other deliverables to do, right? So we as L&D professionals, we have to make our training content so alluring, so attractive, so that the person is, forced to move out of the, finish their work and then take up training. So that is one. Okay, attracting talent, attracting people for training is one challenges that you have. The second challenge you might have in a training is when you are dealing with a certain set of people, there might be different views of different people. Okay, you are trying to speak on a particular aspect, but people are coming up with different ideas, different ways of speaking. The way you interact with all of it, the way you have to focus on how are you going to take the training session into the particular direction that you wanted to. That is one challenge that a trainer faces while delivering a session. So these are the two main challenges that I think as an L&D profession would face.
Thank you. The next question we have is, can good soft skills compensate for lack of good English for an employee?
You know what? A very interesting question. I have had seen people who are not probably very good in spoken English, who do not have a great grammar understanding probably, who are not from English medium schools, who might not have had English training, but yet they are able to communicate properly through the way they communicate, the points that they put forward, the way they communicate, that the body language that they use during their presentation. So there are multiple factors that contribute to your communication skills or soft skills. So I don't think it is good to have, but it might not be a barrier at the same time. But yes, obviously it's good to have.
The next question we have is, how does a background in ELT help someone to be successful in this field?
Okay, so ELT, yes. If you are looking, or if you have a background of ELT, presuming that's English language teaching. So I also had a similar background. I had a MA in English. I had a master's, sorry, MPhil in linguistics and phonetics. So I, I'm sorry. Can you just repeat the question? How will benefit, or how it's going to take? I'm sorry.
Yes, how it will help someone to be successful in this field, ELT.
Great. Yeah. So I'll give you my example, right? I have had MA in English. When I came into the training and development field, many of the trainers that I have seen, or facilitators, they have to actually start from scratch. They need to know how to speak properly first, and then they need to understand certain concepts of English language in order to teach English language to people. But since I already had an idea of what English language is, or what are the steps, or what are the aspects that I need to look at in English language teaching, I could bring those learnings into the English language training field, and I could start my career with that. And obviously, I have moved into other aspects through and owing to my MA English background.
Thank you. The next question we have is, can you suggest some companies that take freshers or interns as a corporate trainer?
Many companies. There are many companies who take. Out of my mind, I know TCS does. TCS hire people as interns. There are many other companies, IT companies like Cognizant, Wipro. They are always on a lookout of internal trainings. In fact, even my company, I work for Novartis as a pharmaceutical sector. So even pharma companies also look for people, interns who will be willing to. So it depends on the need of a particular organization, need of the department. So they might go for interns, they might go for experienced people, but they have many companies, and all companies have a space to absorb interns as training and development professionals.
Thank you. The next question which we have is, can we find any freelancing jobs in this field on any online forum?
Freelancing in an online format. Okay, so I know freelancing is being done. There are many training institutes, or there are many individual consultants who go for freelancing trainings. But if you are looking at any online forum particularly, I know one place where you can check. It's called Up for Work. Okay, Up for Work is a platform where you can register yourself as a trainer, and you can get projects accordingly, and you can teach people in developing their English skills and English language skills. There are many people who are looking for it. So you can try Up for Work.
Okay. The next question which we have is, 1 minute. Yes. What are the main challenges a trainee faces in leadership development programs?
Right. So when we talk about leadership development, right, leadership development comes with a lot of nuances. Number one is there are certain skills that they might have already known in their career. Now, what are the different aspects that we can put forward to them so that they find some benefit out of it? That's number one. Number two is leaders are always busy. Okay, so you need to come up with the programs which will be, first of all, not time consuming. Second of all, very relevant for them so that they understand what it is. And it's difficult for leaders to change their perspective, right? Because they're already set in a particular aspect. So you need to do a lot of groundwork before you prepare the content for a leadership development program. A lot of groundwork has to go behind it. So I think these are challenges according to me.
Okay. And the next question we have is, what course someone should pursue after graduation if he or she is interested to pursue a career in corporate training?
I would not suggest you to do that. First of all, I would suggest you to take up your master's. I suggest you, if you are interested in training, you can go ahead and do your master's in communicative English, or you can do MA in linguistics, applied linguistics, and then you can come into the training. Yes, of course, there are many certifications that you can look for if you want to become a trainer. As I said, there are organizations such as Dale Carnegie, there's Middle Earth certifications, there's SHRM. You can look it up. But if you want my advice, I would not suggest you to go into training right after graduation, but take up a master's and then go ahead.
Yes, many of our participants have requested you to suggest some online courses. I think you have showed it in your slides, right?
Yeah.
Online courses available on this field.
There are many online courses available. LinkedIn is my favorite, but if you can look up for Coursera, Udemy, Future Learn, there are multiple online courses that are present in today's world. And please go ahead and start developing from now on. Okay, if you are wishing to become a trainer or a facilitator, you need to start working from now on your delivery skills, on the way you speak and how you do it. And they are going to give you an entire idea of how to go about it.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question which we have is having linguistics in subject combination equally important to be corporate trainer, or ELT is more important?
I think any of it, if you have it, even if you have ELT or linguistics, because see, I had linguistics and it has helped me a lot in my training field, especially as an English language trainer. But even if you have ELT also, so what ELT gives you is, ELT gives you a different aspect of the curriculum development also. How you plan, how you design a particular training program, which linguistics did not give me. Because linguistics talk to me about the language of, what are the signs of language? How can we use language in communication? So both of it, having both linguistics and ELT is obviously a boom. But having only ELT or linguistics can be equally beneficial for you. It just shows you the different aspects of communication. That's all.
The next question which we have is, What is the best source of professional satisfaction for a corporate trainer?
I cannot give you that a general answer, a generic answer, but I'll tell you what my satisfaction is.
Okay.
My satisfaction at the end of a training, if I see that people have learned and people have come back and told me that, Sriparna, I actually learned from what you said and I have applied it in my workspace and I have seen the difference. That is where my satisfaction is. That is how I draw my own satisfaction.
Okay, so one of our participants wants to know what was the most challenging and fun thing of your career as a corporate trainer, probably.
Okay, as a corporate trainer. Okay, so the most challenging thing of my career was the first day when I went up to the platform and when there were 25 people sitting in front of me and I was supposed to train them and I was junior to them. Okay, they were all senior professionals. I did not know what to do. I did not know how to speak. I had stage fear. I was shaking. Okay, so this was the most challenging part of my career. But the fun started when I started building up a confidence. Because let me give you a tip. Okay, if you are speaking in front of a certain person, the person you might be very scared, but the other people do not know that you are scared. So the fun begins is when you can camouflage that and you can deliver it with confidence.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is understanding discourse analysis in linguistics very important for being a language trainer?
No, I have had, I have done my research in discourse analysis, and I can tell you that it is not a prerequisite for you to become a trainer. It will for sure give you a great insight on how discourse analysis is and how conversation, how you can draw several interpretations out of a conversation. But I don't, according to me, it did not help me in the corporate training front.
Okay. The next question is how can I develop my personality and leadership skills?
Okay, so if you have to develop your leadership skills, you need to obviously go very far in your career because if you are starting your career, it's not necessary that you would have your uh, you would you would have your leadership skills within you, right? This is something that is progressively achieved. You grow up in your career, you have lots of experiences, you have a team to handle, you have a function to handle, and that's when you develop your leadership skills already. I mean, progressively. What was the first question, Sharma? Apart from leadership skills?
Personality development.
Personality development is something, again, I would say that there are certain skills that you should be taking care of. First of all is listening, communication skills. In communication skills, you have listening, you have your interpersonal skills that try to focus on your personal skills like stress management, anger management, how you say no by not being rude, how you interact with a certain person, how you make them feel valued. These are the typical personality development skills that we need to bring forward. Believe me, I have learned this through a lot of experiences of mine, and these personality skills will help you in understanding or help you grow as a person at the same time.
Thank you, ma'am. And can you please tell a bit about discourse analysis?
Okay, the discourse analysis is something that I have done long back, so I would not be doing justice by right now speaking with it, but you can always connect me separately and I can talk to you about it in detail.
Okay. The next question which we have is can diploma in linguistics be a substitute to masters in linguistics?
Diploma in linguistics depends on what it covers. Okay, because in masters I had gone through everything about linguistics. Okay, it's the psycholinguistics. I've gone through social linguistics, phonetics, and then applied linguistics, discourse analysis. There are so many aspects that has been covered. So it depends on what do you want to do after taking up a linguistics course. Do you want to go into a field where you want to become a professor or do a PhD or a research in linguistics? In that case, I would say MA linguistics would be a better option. But if you are moving into a field on ELT or maybe either English language training or teaching, in that sense, I would say diploma would suffice for it.
Okay. And okay, so we have another question. how empathy and emotional intelligence play important roles in this career?
Oh, very, very important. I mean, I think, you know, when we are going into a corporate scenario, we are not just professionals, but we are at the beginning, we are human beings. So, the skill to handle your emotions when you are speaking to a particular person or when you are in a particular environment is the most important skill that I would say should be developed in a profession. Okay, because at times there are different discussions, at times there are debates that would lead to a lot of conflicts. How do you manage yourself and the environment at that kind of a situation is what matters the most. So I think it's very.
The next question which we have is, what do you think of CELTA, CELTA, as a certification course?
CELTA is, I would say, a very, very well-known course. If you are looking into ELT and if you want to go into English language teaching, I think CELTA would give you that, start. It will create that base for you to kickstart your career. So I think, yeah, CELTA, it's good. It's very important. If you're thinking of it, please go for it.
The next question which we have is, how can someone overcome their fear of public speaking?
Very interesting question, Shiruma, because this is something that I also have learned through my years of experience. Again, I just told you, right? When you are walking up to a crowd, number one is practice. Okay, practice over and on, over and again. Do you know how many times does a TED Talk speaker practice before they go and speak? They practice 42 times. So that is the amount of practice that you need to gain that confidence to go and speak in front of a public. Secondly, please keep in mind that if you are afraid, you are the only one who knows that you are afraid, not your audience, not the people who are listening to. So bring in that confidence in you to speak in front of the public, and it comes with practice. The more you speak, the more you get better at it.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an engrossing talk. And I hope this wonderful exposure to this area would serve as an effective doorway to a career in corporate training. Now, before we sign off, I would like to request the convener, Riddhivi, to please give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Riddhivi.
So, firstly, on behalf of the entire organizing committee, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Sriparna for finding the time for this today, despite her kind of crazy schedule that she's going through right now. Thank you so very much for doing this with us. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be ending this with you. You know better. So, yeah, today is obviously the final day of Communication Lumens, and I have a bag full of thanks to give. So let me quickly get started. So yeah, I begin by thanking all our speakers, all the 7 of our speakers who have joined us throughout the week for this series, for this exciting joyride of Communication Lumens, despite their really hectic schedules. I heartily thank each one of them for finding the time to come here and share their invaluable knowledge and experience with our participants. We are immensely grateful to all of them. We are also very thankful to our college authorities, Vice Principal, Bursar, IQAC coordinator, teachers, staff, and students of Asutosh College who have supported our venture. All my love and heartfelt gratitude to all our student volunteers, all my kids, all of you in the designing team, question compilation team, publicity team, reporting team, certification team, confidential team, mailing team, all you kids out there. You have been absolutely fabulous. These kids have worked with us for the last 1 month, day in and day out, despite these very, very trying times. I can't thank you enough. You have just done a miraculous thing. Thank you so very much, kids. You have all my heart for this. I am also very thankful to 3 of my friends, Anamitra, Nikita, and Pragya, who have given us very, very crucial contacts for the webinar. You know, this wouldn't have been this without you, and you know your friends for life. Thank you so very much. On a personal basis, I'd like to thank each and every member in the organizing committee of Communication Lumens. definitely Shuroma, the organizing secretary, who has been there for me always, always, no matter what. Thank you so very much. And all our other members, Shonchita ma'am, AKC sir, KB sir, Priyanjali di, our guest members, Shokti, Ponchomi, Niloy, you guys have really kept this afloat. Thank you so very much for believing in this and for being here. Communication Lumos would definitely not have been without you. And most importantly, a very, very, very big shout out to our entire audience. I really want to hoot, but I can't. I think I can't from this place. You guys have been absolutely fabulous. Like, you have been wonderful. Some of you have joined us throughout the week. I can't tell you how immensely grateful we are to you for doing that. You have really believed in our series, you have believed in what we are doing, and your active participation and overwhelming response, coupled with your flattering feedback, has been our motivation and our strength. And because you have given us so much love, we think we are definitely going to keep up the good work. Thank you so very much, because you are the real heroes here. I hope that you had a wonderful experience learning with us, just as we had a beautiful experience being with you throughout the week. Thank you so very much. Take care. Stay safe. Stay wonderful. Bye bye.